Hello and welcome to Lunchtime Politics, reaching you from Lagos, our global headquarters. I'm Jeffrey Uzama. Let's bring you up to speed with the big happenings in politics and in the polity. Former Minister of Petroleum Resources, Desani Alison Madueke, appears in London court for preliminary hearing of a trial on alleged bribery. Reports of possible defection by the Kano State Governor Abba Yusuf to the All Progressives Congress will try to examine the dynamics of its implication for the state. Like it or not, agree with it or not, politics is in full swing in Nigeria. That's ahead of several elections, but a big one is in 2027, with off-cycle elections taking place in Ekiti and Ondo State, beginning with the February area council elections. So the politicians are on top gear to ensure all of the realignment are sorted out before INEC puts out a scheduled timetable. And that will depend also on whether or not the House of Representatives and the Senate, both bicameral chambers of the National Assembly, are able to sort out the entirety of the Electoral Act Amendment Bill, which is hopefully should be able to make post-election litigations happen prior to any form of inauguration. But hey, that is just an expectation. What we can tell you is what is happening within the political parties. But before all of that that's happening in Nigeria, let's head outside the courts that ahead of the trial over alleged sundry financial and other infractions against the former Minister of Petroleum Resources, Desani Alison Madueke, she has appeared before the Southwark Crown Court in London, United Kingdom, for the preliminary hearing of her case bordering on bribery charges. The case was listed on the course list for Court 8 before Justice Thornton on Monday, ahead of a full trial scheduled to commence on January 26, 2026, and is expected to last between 10 to 12 weeks. The 65-year-old has been on bail since she was first arrested in London in October 2015. And she has denied 6 charges preferred against her. Mrs. Madueke was formally charged in 2023 by the UK's National Crime Agency with offences of accepting bribes between 2011 to 2015 while she served as Nigeria's petroleum minister. According to the indictment, Alison Madueke benefited from at least £100,000, which is about $134,000 in cash, chauffeur-driven cars, flights on private jets, and the use of multiple London properties, among other charges. And back here, a chieftain of the All Progressives Congress, Mr. Tony Okocha, has cautioned against discrimination in the party's ongoing e-registration exercise across the 23 local government areas of the state. Speaking at the flag-off of the exercise at the party secretariat in Port Harcourt, Mr. Okocha says the exercise is aimed at creating an accurate and credible membership database in line with the national party reforms.
The instruction from the party is that you should not restrict anybody who comes to you who wishes to be part of what APC is doing, or APC member. Don't say, oh, I knew you as ANPP, I knew you as that. No, please, the instruction is register what? Everybody. Let everybody be on board. Are we communicating?
Yes, sir.
We don't want the situation where when you get to the field, you are sentimental. Oh, we started ABC with so person. The other person is just coming in now. There is no coming in now. All the fears you have expressed, we are taking our time to resolve them one by one. I know some of you have expressed fears, oh, so and so thing is dominating or is doing that and that. We are resolving all of those.
So the All Progressives Congress, the ruling party, has actually commenced its e-registration. That's the one taking place in Rivers State, where there's a lot of controversy, even around literally everything in that state. But hey, let's tell you that the president has been briefed on pressing challenges and opportunities in Kano, with particular emphasis on worsening insecurity in some local government areas of the state. This is according to a statement issued by the governor's spokesman, Senator Bature, after a closed-door meeting between the Kano State Governor, Abba Yusuf, and President Bola Tinubu on Monday. Mr. Bature adds that it was an opportunity to present the Kano State administration priorities on infrastructure, security, and stronger partnership with the federal government. The governor highlighted the role of Kano State Neighborhood Watch Corps in supporting conventional security agencies and called for closer collaboration with the federal security institutions. The governor further sought President Tinubu's support to fast-track ongoing and proposed federal projects in Kano, noting that stronger cooperation will ensure the state benefits maximally from federal programs and investment. So I'm being joined on the program by the man who gave that statement, the special advisor to the governor on the Kano State Media Director to the government of Kano State. That's Mr. Sanusi Bature. Mr. Bature, thank you so much for coming on the program.
Good afternoon, Geoffrey.
What we hear, I know that there's been a lot of conversation. So help us make sense of what the outcome beyond the release of this particular, the release you shared with the media. The governor had met with the president and briefed him on some of the things he's doing and some of the things he would need the help of the federal government. But beyond all of that, there are other things that you would like to tell us beyond what was disclosed to us.
First of all, people need to understand that His Excellency honored the invitation of the President, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and any meeting that is set to be a closed-door meeting, so only the parties that are involved in the meeting can be able to give details, 100% of what transpired there. So, therefore, as a spokesperson of the governor, we release information, a statement particularly on the visit, key priorities for the visit, which you mentioned in the statement include requests for mega projects, being Kano one of the most populous states in Nigeria. We cannot really afford to lose federal interventions. And the second major issue is the governor has briefed him on the security architecture of Kano and the current security realities in the state because of the activities of the bandits in some particular local governments, especially the borders of Katsina and Kaduna. So one of the reasons for this visit is to brief the president on the current realities on the security situation in the state, and also request for his partnership, support, and synergy between state security architecture and federal security apparatus, so that we can effectively be able to contain the current security challenges in the state. And also, the president has demonstrated some goodwill to Kano people by adopting one of our major projects, which is Wuju mega project, by granting an approval of 46 billion naira as an intervention to complete that project, which is state-owned project that has been there long ago. So the governor appreciated the president, and also it becomes like Oliver Twist by requesting additional federal intervention in the state, because a state like Kano with over 22 million population will not be able to cater for its needs through the state budget. Despite the fact that the governor for 2026 budget, he was able to raise, or he was able to sign close to 1.5 trillion budget, which is unprecedented, but he still needs federal support to ensure that the basic social amenities and infrastructure needs are achieved with federal intervention and also that of the international donor partners.
Mr. Bature, there's nothing out of place and there's nothing really special about the president meeting with the governor. But what is of interest to a lot of people and is generating a lot of suspicion and conversation, which I would like us to talk about, which is the politics. There's been rumor or reports, if you will, about the governor's intention to defect to the All Progressives Congress. But it looks like there has been a lot of challenges as far as that defection is concerned. Is this meeting part of that conversation as well?
Well, long before the meeting, there has been an ongoing discussion on whether or not to defect to APC. But, you know, defection from one party to another cannot happen overnight. It's something that has to take some stages, and a lot of factors need to be considered, part of which might be legal factors, because the party we belong to has a constitution, the party we are defecting to has a constitution, and Nigeria has a constitution that guides all these political processes. So therefore, you cannot just overnight decide that I defected to another party from X party. But there have been ongoing discussion, and the discussion would translate into something, into a decision later. It might be a decision to defect, it may be a decision not to defect, whatever. And at the moment, the context of Nigerian politics is that each party is in constant discussion with the other. ADC is talking with some APC members are in discussion with the ADC members, NNPP members are in discussion with the ADC, some are in discussion with the APC. But all this need to be realized after a critical point is met, and then a decision will be taken on whether or not to take a decision. But at the moment, it's just a discussion, and discussion, you know, one is free to discuss with whoever, and then decision is another thing. But as a group, as a government, we will make information available at any given point when we are ready to decide on whether or not to defect to APC.
So as a spokesperson of the governor, you're confirming to me that the governor will eventually defect to the APC?
Well, what I said, I have not spoken in parables, Mr. Jeffrey, but the issue is that no decision is yet taken on defection. But when the time comes, if he is eventually defecting, we will make information available. If he is not also defecting, we will make information available. But at the moment, no decision is taken. But I confirm to you that there have been ongoing discussion, not even before the visit to the president. And I told you, some NNPP members are in discussion with the ADC, some NNPP members are in discussion with the Labour Party, some NNPP members are in discussion with the APC. So all these are possibilities that can only be determined after a critical decision is taken. And we will make information available at the right time.
Why does Abba Yusuf, let's hypothetically say he's going to defect, because this is how it starts. Let's hypothetically say he's going to defect. Why does he need to defect to win re-election?
Well, I don't think that might be one of the reasons for any possibility of defection. But if we go to the history of Kano and Nigerian politics, most of the time Kano has been either in a complete opposition or in an internal opposition with the center. But if you look at the trajectory, if you check the history, what has Kano benefited from being an opposition party? That's a fundamental question that needs to be answered. During Shagari, Kano was in opposition. So also at some point during President Olusegun Obasanjo, Kano was in opposition. During President Yar'Adua, Kano was in opposition. During Jonathan, Kano was an internal opposition. So what has Kano benefited from being an opposition state, from being in completely different pathway with the center? That's a fundamental question that we need to answer before any decision is going to be taken. But at the moment, the rumors might be clear by the visit to the president, but the visit with the president is not mainly political. It's more of a development discussion and also a brief, particularly on the current realities in the state. And also the governor had used the opportunity to brief Mr. President on the recent killing of a mother with her kids in Kano. So the president got brief from the governor and on the development of the arrest that has been conducted by the Nigeria Police, Kano State Police Command. So the visit is not entirely political, And even if it has some element of politics, then the time is not yet ripe for us to disclose the details of the meeting. So therefore, people might wait until when decision is taken, then we'll make information available on whatever is going to transpire.
I know Mr. Baturi said you don't want me to put you on the spot, but it's political. There's no way, you can't run away from it. It's purely political. There may be appendages around that politics. That's a different kettle of fish. So from your analysis...
Jeffrey, I can tell you...
No, just hold on for a moment. In addition to what you want to say, let me just add this to it. You have taken me through history, through the history of Kano State politics and when they were in the opposition. But at least in 2015, up until 2023, under Abdullahi Ganduje, the Kano was an APC state. In fact, he at some point became the national chairman of the All Progressives Congress. That's when the NNPP had won. So Kano now was flipped by the NNPP. So what is it that Ganduje, former governor of the state, was benefiting from the center as a member of the ruling party as at then, that Mr. Yusuf is not benefiting, that is necessitating him to consider aligning, as they say, connect to the center?
Well, Mr. Jeffrey, I did not belong to Ganduje administration. I was completely the opposition spokesperson throughout Ganduje's administration, despite the fact that he's from my local government. And so I might not be able to analyze or speak on behalf of Ganduje's administration as former governor of Kano State. That's one. And secondly, the Ganduje's administration with Buhari is entirely different from Bola Tinubu-led administration with the governor Abba Kabir Yusuf. So reality changes over time and based on personality and leadership style of successive leaders.
You know, Kwankwasia movement is one of the, when you talk about a movement that seemed to be driven by some level of ideology, I think we can give it to the Kwankwasia movement. I may not know all of the ideology, but there's this sense of belief around the Kwankwasia that we can see at least at face value. They do not seem, a couple of them do not seem to agree with this particular defection, if you will. We did have a conversation with a spokesperson of your party at the national level, and he said, look, nothing against the governor, wish him well if he chooses to go. So if the core base, permit me to use that word loosely, you can correct me if I'm wrong, if the core base of the NNPP, which is the Kwankwasia movement, is divided over this issue, how does the governor intend to manage this to the benefit of the state and the people that he represents?
Well, some realities can only be discovered after a decision is taken, whether to cross or not to cross to any political party. But like I told you earlier, some members of the NNPP are in discussion with the ADC. Some members are in discussion with the Labour Party. And some are in discussion with the APC. But generally, we all belong to the Kwankwasia movement. And Kwankwasia movement is still intact. You can see that I'm still wearing my red cap. And then we are only at a crossroad. And that crossroad will be determined sooner or later. And then that's when people can be able to analyze whatever circumstance they can. But at the moment, things are not clear. Things are not clear because decision has not been taken. And then I am sure whatever decision that is going to be taken by the governor is going to be agreed by the overwhelming majority of the Kwankwasia supporters, particularly in Kano State. But being an ideology, being a political movement, being a massive support group, you cannot have the control, the total control of every member of Kwankwasia. Some people might decide otherwise. At some point, people might even decide to quit politics. We have seen that severally. And people can decide to remain where they are. People can decide to also move. But on a general note, everybody understands that NNPP as a party has some internal crisis that may or that can make or mar the party as a platform. So therefore, the discussions around defecting to ADC or APC or Labour Party or SDP or whatever platform is just for the sustainability of the Kwankwasia as a movement, because that Kwankwasia movement is, to us, is more stronger, more viable than any political party. Why I say this? Because political party is a platform that you can just cross and align to ensure that you have the legal processes that can allow you to contest election. But Kwankwasia is an ideology. Many of us will die with that ideology in us. I am one of the new generation Kwankwasia ideologue. So therefore, the ideology will be in us. So even at the moment, there have been members of Kwankwasia movement in APC. There have been members of Kwankwasia in ADC. So it's a movement, it's an ideology which cut across all political divides. Some Kwankwasia loyalists, some Kwankwasia ideologues do not even belong to any political party, but they have that ideology in them like a blood.
Before I let you go, so the first has to do with, I'm just wondering, permit me, and I've asked every party, especially party who we know, and even the APC knows, that in 2027 they wouldn't have won those states because, you know, there are states that, you know, those parties are like their base. And you know the parties I'm talking about. So Kano is one of those states. Walk us through or tell us exactly what exactly is Governor Yusuf and the NNPP-led government missing for not being in the APC?
Well, like I told you earlier, Mr. Jeffrey, some information is not ripe yet for public consumption. Because if a political decision is to be taken, until the right time, then you release detailed information. Ongoing discussions, some ongoing discussion might not translate to anything. Some might translate to something else, something big that can carry your headline. So therefore, I don't want to preempt any ongoing discussion because it has not been ripe for a decision to be taken so that people will get to know what exactly is happening. But we have to agree with the current realities of, one, that NNPP has internal crisis, that APC is the national party, and also then alignment with the center might have its own advantages, which Kano might be able to explore. But all this can only be determined after the ongoing discussions are concluded.
I know you're saying some things you don't want to say, but I get the picture, because all of a sudden now I'm hearing Bature say you have internal crisis. If I had asked you that question about 6 months ago, you'll be clear with me that there's no problem within the NNPP. But it's interesting. That's why I say this is pure political, no matter how you want to sugarcoat it. But please, before I let you go, on the issue of, there are people who had said that one of the reasons, now you can correct us if we're wrong, for the people who assume this, that one of the reasons why Mr. Yusuf, the governor of the state, is choosing to move out of the NNPP is, quote unquote, the overbearing influence of the leader of the Kwankwasia movement, Alhaji Robi Musa Kwankwaso, His Excellency, on him. So this is like a bit of a breather, even though theirs is not as messy as what's going on in River State.
Well, that might be just a political blackmail, because the biggest interest is for His Excellency, the Governor of Kano, to be able to deliver on his mandate 2023-2027. And he has started mega projects that he wants to complete. And at the moment, I can tell you His Excellency does not put as a priority the politicings of 2027, because he has a mandate that he wants to really ensure and that he delivered to the expectations of Kano people. That's one. Secondly, if it happens that we are moving to APC with the Kwankwaso, would that blackmail gonna be the same? That's one thing. So therefore, for me, I would take that as a blackmail, because His Excellency Senator Kwankwaso and the governor have been together for over 40 years. And they have been together in different stages, as a boss, as a senior colleague, as a political associate, as a benefactor, as whatever. So as we grow, things changes. Status also changes. But that does not affect the core relationship, the core ideals of their relationship. So His Excellency has been in charge of his government right from day one. And then Konkoso, as a former governor, former minister, and also the party leader, should be able to advise where necessary on the things he feels like need to be considered. So there's not anything to do with any overbearing influence or what have you. His Excellency is well grown up to be able to maintain and lead his administration very well. As a former principal private secretary, as also former commissioner for works, housing and transport, he has garnered a lot of leadership experience that he can run a state like Kano effectively and efficiently using his own personal leadership style. So no any overbearing influence that is brought in the discussion, on the table in the discussion of any possibility of defection. I can tell you this.
Sanusi Bature is the media director to the Kano State Governor. Thank you, sir, for coming on the program.
Thank you very much, Geoffrey.
And just before we go, let's tell you that the immediate past Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Abubakar Malami, has been rearrested by the Department of State Services over fresh allegations of terrorism financing. Security sources said the former Attorney General of the Federation, who is standing trial before a federal high court on allegations of money laundering, was on Monday taken into custody by security operatives shortly after his release from the Kuje Correctional Center in Abuja. The source disclosed that operatives of the DSS picked him up immediately after he exited the facility. Officials of the Nigerian Correctional Service confirmed that Malami was released after perfecting his bail conditions. Efforts to obtain official comments from the DSS remained unsuccessful so far. The release of the former AGF followed the granting of bail on January 7, 2026 by Justice Emeka Nwite of the Federal High Court Abuja. The court granted bail to Malami, his wife, and his son in the sum of 500 million naira each with strict conditions. And that's it on the program. Thank you so much for your time and company. I'm Jeffrey Uzongo. You've been served on Lunchtime Politics. Bye-bye.